These teachings of the Living Light philosophy were given through the mediumship of Mr. Richard P. Goodwin. Spiritual Awareness Class, CC4.
Soul may be likened unto the captain of a ship. If the captain is awake and not asleep, then the ship will reach its destiny, the one it set out to reach. But if the captain is asleep, the ship comes under the control and the influences of the weather and the conditions around and about it at any given time. And so it is with our soul and our body. When we awaken these minds of ours to the great truth of this eternity, this soul that is within our being this moment, then we will become the masters of this ship of clay, and it will serve the purpose that it was designed to serve. Now this evening we're going to start back there with group 4 and run the questions this way. So will group 4 ask any questions you have this evening, please? Group 4?
Not right.
All right, thank you. Group 3, please. Would you please rise? Thank you very much.
I would like to know why meditations are kept at a certain period of time.
Very good question. The question has been asked, why is meditation kept at a certain period of time? One of the first things a student learns on the unfoldment of one's own soul is discipline, self-discipline, spiritual discipline. System and order is the first law of the universe. Without system and order, we have chaos, and man cannot find himself his own divinity. And that is why we teach the students to choose wisely the time you're going to set for meditation, and once having chosen that time, be honest and sincere with it. For example, you are setting, so to speak, an appointment with your own soul, with your own spirit, and with the levels that you are attracting at that time. If you're going to make an appointment with a friend, you don't tell him 7 o'clock and show up at 8:30. If you do, you set a law that's most unreliable into motion. And so it is. If man cannot treat himself wisely with system and order, that he is not going to receive any beneficial result. You see, it must mean more to us than the things that distract us in this mundane world of creation. Does that help with your question? Yes. Group 3, please. Would you rise?
Yeah. I was thinking, too, along the time the last confusion is still at is the time limit involved in the meditation itself. Why do they say to not meditate longer than, 20 minutes?
Yes, in the beginning.
In the beginning?
Yes. The reason that we teach the student not to exceed a maximum of 20 minutes in any given meditation period, and one meditation period per 24 hours, is really very simple. The first thing that we have found that happens to the student is to go into a type of self-hypnosis, that they block out their conscious mind, and the thing that takes over is their own subconscious. Now remember that the sole faculty of reason is in our conscious mind. It is not in our subconscious mind. We teach, therefore, to keep faith with reason, for it is reason that will transfigure you. And if we are not able, you understand, to keep a conscious control over this so-called subconscious, then our emotions and suppressed desires will become the governing, ruling factor in our lives. And many, many students that get interested in the metaphysical and in meditation and things of this nature, they think, well, all they've got to do is just give way and God will take over. Well, remember that God's in all things, and God's in the subconscious as well as the conscious mind. And so it is that we try to train our students not to get into types of self-hypnotic trance. Does that help with your question? Thank you very much. Yes, please rise. Be right with you, group 4. That's all right. No, let group 3 finish. She's still on the same trend. Group 3, please.
Let's see now. Yes, is this usually the case? Has this been proven that when people do go into a meditative state for a period, say, they go into it over a half hour, they do become in a hypnotic trance?
It has been my experience over the past 31 years to find that most people who sit in meditation for an hour, 2 hours, 3 or 4 times a day do break down the barrier to the subconscious and do become controlled by their own subconscious. Yes. That has been my experience with many, many, many students who will not listen and try to organize it in a systematized way. That is without discipline. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Group 4, please. Group 4 had a question.
Yes, I was just wondering, I mean, really, the question is really more stimulated by the previous question. Right?
Yes.
Because I'm really accepting the book because I don't know enough about it, especially.
Well, you check it out, Liz. I'm still checking it myself. Not that I think I know more than he does, but God gave me a reasoning faculty. I try to exercise.
Are we, as we think and meditate, can we rise above our environment?
The question is...
It has to be sitting in a quiet, dark room.
Absolutely not. Positively not. Once the student has risen to a level of peace within themselves, they may use and exercise that level in any place at any given moment. The reason that a person chooses a quiet place in which to meditate is simply because they are controlled and brainwashed to a multitude of distractions by their own mind. You see, it is very rare that a human being in this world today spends 20 minutes in silence with God. It is a rare thing. I don't say that it is the normal thing, I say it is the rare thing. But once having attained that level of awareness, you may exercise it anywhere, anytime, at any place. Does that help with your question?
If people try how quiet it is on a commute bus when everybody's asleep.
Yes, I know. Now, group 2, please. We're coming this way. Yes, group 2, would you rise, please?
I have a question in just verse 49.
Yes.
Second paragraph, where it states, whatever your beginnings may be, guard them and protect them until they are strengthened and strong to withstand the adversity that are given by law to protect them.
Yes.
I don't understand.
Don't understand it. The lady is speaking in reference to the discourse that speaks on the laws of beginning. Cherish them and you treat them wisely until they are strong enough to weather the storms of adversity which are destined to attack them. That is beginning is creation. That is creation is under the law of duality. There is nothing in creation or beginnings, which are creation, that is not dual. Therefore, everything that has form or beginning is subject to and destined to experience the law known as adversity, its opposite. So when a person having a beginning especially of a spiritual experience and a spiritual unfoldment and speaks it out into the atmosphere, they are in truth feeding the law of adversity which is destined to attack it. This is why the teaching is that the secrets of the universes are never given to the blabbermouths. God's greatest work is done in silence, because when you speak it out into the atmosphere, you are pouring energy out into creation, and the adversity to your beginning will come back much sooner to you and possibly destroy what you're trying to set into motion. This is why I teach the students, whatever comes to you, at least have the strength and the wisdom to keep it between you and God, for you are a majority, at least for 72 hours.
Oh, I'm with that. Is it possible that by the time the adversity catches up with you or reaches you, that you could be on another level, so therefore you would feel it? Or
that is very true. That does not mean that your creation will not feel it. Because you see, the law of creation is immutable. Man cannot change what is divine law. And the divine law is very clear, and it is demonstrable, that creation or form is dual. Remember that God is one in essence and three in manifestation. That is the Trinity of truth. Does that help with your question? You're welcome. Group 1, please. Group 1, yes. Do you have a question?
Referring to Discourse 48, the very last sentence, we in truth are seeking to go back home only to wander again and again and again. Could this be construed to mean that when you reach the 81st level that you might go to another planet and start all over again?
It could be. The 81 levels of consciousness, or the 81 levels of awareness, there are 40 levels of soul faculties, 40 levels of sense functions, and one of God. And so it is that we did not come from nothing, and we shall not return to nothing. Man's divine spirit comes from something, and everything returns to the home from whence it came. The leaf falls from the tree, only to come up through the tree again to produce another leaf in another day and in another time. And that is the divine law. And we look out at nature. If we look at it wisely and we're patient and we're peaceful, we will see that nature herself is demonstrating the infinite universal cycle of constant evolution. Evolution is everywhere present amongst us. We're evolving in thought, we are evolving in form. And so it is that our soul is expanding constantly or evolving. The soul's journey is to garner up these multitude of experiences that it may, in time as it returns to the source from whence it came, deposit those and evolve the forms. That is the law of creation. Does that help with your question, Group 1? Thank you. Now, we'll go to Group 7, please.
You mentioned a level of awareness.
Yes.
Could you elaborate a little more on that?
It is my understanding, in speaking on the levels of awareness, as has been stated, that there are 81 that we are aware of. A level of awareness is the soul rises through various states of consciousness that are within us this very moment. Some people are aware of this physical mundane world. Let us say most people are that are in it. Some people are aware of a finer vibration of another world that is also here. They're also aware of a cosmic world. They're aware of the cosmos themselves. This is because their soul has risen to varying levels of awareness that is possible to all mankind here and now. Now, when you find a person that you are in rapport with, it simply means that you are both vibrating or expressing on the same level of awareness. That doesn't mean that you are agreeing in your conversation, but you can be in rapport with a person. You don't know why. You just have a natural feeling to that person, even though they have an entirely different philosophy or different understanding than yourself. It means that you are on the same level of awareness, at least at that moment. Yes, you go ahead with...
Due to your soul evolution?
Due to your soul evolution. Now remember, people think that the soul has evolved to a certain state, and here we are on the earth realm. The soul, we must realize, has the ability to rise to any level that it has experienced throughout all eternity. Therefore, a person may rise to a level of awareness within a second within inside of themselves because they have already experienced it. What the soul has once experienced, it can repeat the experience. Is that intelligent to you or understand?
Does that also apply to a déjà vu?
That would apply to all things.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions from Group 7? I'll be right with you, Group 1. Group 7, yes. Would you rise, please?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Richard, you said that reason is in the conscious mind.
That is my understanding, absolutely.
Now, are you saying, in other words, that the subconscious mind is of no value?
Absolutely not, positively not. I don't mean to imply that the subconscious has no value. It's the memory bank. God speaks to man through man. The superconscious speaks to the conscious mind, and the subconscious reacts or expresses. I am aware that most teachings teach that the superconscious flows through the subconscious. It is not my understanding or experience that the superconscious, or this divine, speaks to the subconscious. To me, it speaks to the conscious mind, and the subconscious expresses.
Expressed through the subconscious?
It is expressed by the subconscious, yes.
By the subconscious?
Yes. The subconscious definitely serves a purpose, and it has value.
Okay, and then another question I had to ask is it only through selfless service that a person can obtain peace?
If the question, therefore, a question is presented in the statement, in the question. And the question is asked, is it only through selfless service that man may attain peace? Now we must ask the question, what is it that robs us from the peace that passes all understanding? So I ask the question, what is it that takes the peace from us that we are seeking? Is it because our thoughts are self-related? I think we will all agree, if we will stop and ponder and think, that when our thoughts are grounded in self, when they are self-orientated, we are robbed of the peace that passeth all understanding, because we are grounded in creation and in form. When our thoughts are concerned with something outside of ourselves, not related to ourselves, then we are freed. This energy flows through an unobstructed vehicle and deposits its divine blessings. And so he has taught that selfless service is a path to spiritual illumination. Now, a person may say and set a law into motion, fine, I'm going to serve selflessly in this particular area. Consequently, I'll become the lumen. You might as well forget it, because you've already set the law of self into motion. Selfless service is doing an act and entertaining a thought without concern for self. It is when the soul is serving its own divinity, which is the divine or God. It's not concerned about form. There's no thought thereof. So any time we entertain the thought that by doing selfless service we're going to be spiritually illumined, we've already set the law of self into motion, and the law of self is the law of limitation. And the peace that passeth all understanding is not a limitation. Does that help with your question, Mr.?
Thank you for that.
Thank you. You're welcome. Group 1, please.
I also think in a borderline question, but during meditation or dreaming or other individual experiences, which a great many of us have had, is there any way that we can screen and select these visions or inspirational messages that we get to determine which are the important ones and which ones are not very valid. Sometimes there seems to be a wealth of things going on, and it's difficult to try and wonder, is that an extension of your own subconscious, or is it a dream, or is it just a bunch of nonsense, or is this really an important thing? Is this one of my spirit lives, or is this just another one, a bit of indigestion or something?
That's a very good question, and a very valid and a very important one to anyone seeking to know themselves. And so it is in the very statement itself. When we are in the processes of unfoldment, many start to experience visions, thoughts just drift into the mind. The question arises, is this a suppressed desire of mine for about 30 years ago, or is this some thought passing through the atmosphere from someone I know, or is this a guide and a teacher trying to impinge a thought upon my mind, or is this my own soul going through different experiences of who knows what time or era? Now, how can man learn spiritual discernment? Because it is spiritual discernment, the only thing that's going to free us from that hodgepodge of all these different experiences. As we begin to unfold, we start to unlock levels within ourselves, in the depths of our own subconscious. The things that have been suppressed come out in symbology, they come out in visions. Now, in order to be a free channel for our own spirit, it is absolutely necessary that we empty the garbage can known as the multitude of experiences that we have had in this short earth journey. We do that through a process of daily concentration, meditation, with certain types of breathing exercises. We start to unfold. All these experiences start to well up. Now, some students, they don't see the visions, and they don't hear no voices, but they start to have different emotional experiences. Some of them become highly sensitive, and they could cry at the drop of a pin. What they are really doing, in truth, is they are going deeper inside themselves to reach their soul. You must go down in order to go up. Believe me, I wish I knew another way. But I only know of going down inside the self and cleaning out all of those suppressed desires, all those hopes, all those fears, all those daydream wishes, till you find yourself. And when you find yourself, you will know your path. You will know your destiny. You will know why you came to earth. You will know what you have to do. You will know where you are going and why you are here. And once you know that, you won't have to put it on television, because knowing it, you will just do it. That's the only way I know of finding, going through those different levels. I don't know of any other way. Maybe some other teachers have another way. I just haven't found one. But you see, all this must come up. You know, it is very difficult for people investigating and studying spiritualism as presented by this Serenity Association, because one might say, well now, Lord, what do I credit to the Spirit, and what do I credit to my own subconscious? And what do I credit to something else? This is why we have to first find ourselves. Once we find ourselves, we'll know right where to put it. You see, it isn't God's fault that we wandered out into the wilderness and all those things are distracting us. But remember this. If you want to entertain the thought that it's my subconscious that is experiencing this or that, fine and dandy. But remember, everyone else has a subconscious too, so you're not alone, friends, on any level. Don't ever think you're alone on level 10 or level 2 or level 80, because you got millions of other entities in the flesh and out of the flesh that are expressing on the same level. So you got a lot of help. So that's why it's so critically important that we guard our thoughts. You think these bummer thoughts, you open the door to a whole universe of bums. Who wants to entertain that foolishness? So we think good thoughts, and then you open up your door to your own home, to your soul, to a multitude of angels on the same level that are willing to help you. And in so doing, of course, they'll help themselves. Thank you. Did that help with your question? That's you won group 1. Now let's see, we have group 7. Was group 7 finished with their questions?
I'm just not sure about that adversity thing.
Would you stand up, please?
Not really clear on that.
On adversity?
I'm great. I mean, if I can understand how in meditation something between you and God is observed in the silence. Gaining strength is its shield in the 72 hours, like the embroyo thought in that chapter. But I don't quite understand how the adversity, I don't really understand.
May I ask a question of the class? Would you agree that beginnings are attachments? I asked the class. Are beginnings attachments?
Yes, the moment you're born, you're attached to creation. There's either truth or creation, and we're not in truth yet.
Therefore, all beginnings are attachments. I question anyone to prove the opposite, because it is a law that is personally demonstrable. Attachment, its opposite, is adversity. That is creation. And this is why we are teaching. Do not be attached, you guarantee adversity. Do not be adverse, you guarantee attachment. Don't you see you're getting hit from both sides? And this is why many philosophers throughout ages have taught. Be non-attached. Be in the world and not a part of the world. Be with the thing and never a part of the thing. The moment you attach, you set into motion the law of adversity. Because that is the law of creation.
I don't know if it's my turn, but would you explain, and I've heard so many people do this, and I've seen so much of this, particularly metaphysical and medium, students who are studying mediumship, the difference between attachment and indifference.
Yes, the lady has asked the question, what we feel is the difference between attachment and indifference. When a person becomes attached, they set into motion the law of creation. That attachment becomes their child. Man is responsible to himself and to all his creations. Well, all man's creations are all his attachments. And he is responsible for them. A person has a house, they're responsible for their house. A person has a pair of shoes, they're responsible for the shoes. If they marry a person, they're responsible for the person. If they bear a child, they're responsible for the child. So man is surrounded with a multitude of responsibilities simply because of desire. He desires this, he desires that, he desires something else. When a person awakens their own light within themselves, they see, I have everything. I've always had everything. Therefore, I have no desire. Having no desire, I have no need. Having no need, I am fulfilled. That is, to me, is indifference. What is there to be different with when you got everything? And that's what God is, to my understanding. Man's sorrow is simply his insistence upon entertaining the thought that he needs something. Ask yourself in the course of 24 hours, how many of your thoughts have stated, I need this, I need that. I need a glass of water. I need to eat. I need to go here. I need to go there. Usually the thought is entertained, my God, I need more money. Well, tax time is coming up. That's the usual procedure. You don't go right into that level of awareness along with the masses. Start crying, because if you cry loud enough, you'll get more attention. If you get more attention, you'll get more energy. If you get more energy, you might feel better. And so it is that we continue on this insane merry-go-round of need. The longer we say, I need this and that, then the more we're going to need. God has given us everything. If God has not given us everything, then the God that we entertain in thought is a very stingy God, and I refuse to accept that type of God in my universe. But if we entertain the thought of this divine, limitless, infinite intelligence that takes care of everything, everywhere, and we entertain that type of thinking, then you can be rest assured that kind of God will just flow through our lives, and no matter what happens, to the degree of our faith, it shall ever be manifested unto us. You see, if we have faith that we're going to get $5, well, God's not going to bring us $5 million. He's only going to bring us 5, because that's all we've accepted. We've said $5, and so $5 is what we're going to experience, when we could just as well have said 5 billion. You know, if you're going to use the energy, why not make it big? Why go for this little petty stuff? Huh? You're going to use the same energy, the same emotion. Yes, rise, please.
Yeah, I won't put out that. This is a good lecture.
Oh, I didn't mean to give a lecture, but you know, you speak of fulfillment, you have fulfillment. Yes.
But when these money problems come up, or seeming money problems like tax time, and bills to meet, and things to meet, then...
That's creation.
Yes.
Man's creation.
Yes, creation. We just do it without giving it any ripple to the mind that I hate to pay this, or gee whiz, they're asking me for something again. In other words, we become the doer without thought of the reaction.
That's right. And we just flow. What is to be done, 'tis best to be done quickly. Remember, the longer we entertain a thought, the more difficult it is to escape from it. But it was your own choice.
All right, now I'm going to have to get this out of my head, not for my sake, but for whoever. What's the difference then between the law of opulence and the illusions of grand? People think they can do an awful lot, and they go way beyond anything intelligent or sane to build these castles in the air rather than having this law of opulence.
Yes, the difference is very simple. It's a level of awareness. One is the level of awareness created by brain and mind stuff, and the other is a level of awareness of the light itself. There's a vast difference between daydreaming and reality. A vast difference. Yes, group 6, please.
Is there any profit in being the creator and creating and attracting adversity and working through the adversity?
Yes, indeed there is profit, and indeed it is great wisdom. For example, the soul enters creation, and as it experiences and unfolds itself, the creation through which it is expressing, its vibrations begin to be refined. For example, man today is not the man of 50,000 years ago. He's been refined. He's constantly in a process of refinement, as the souls are constantly unfolding and evolving. You see, as the soul unfolds, the body benefits. We don't need 20 hours sleep. That depends on our level of awareness. That depends on what we've accepted in thought. Yes, there is great benefit.
And I was wondering then, beginnings and creation and attachment are not in themselves so terrible.
Absolutely not. Certainly not. You see, man can have all kinds of beginnings. But he can stay on a level of awareness where he is not controlled by them. Now you see, when the worker no longer, when the tools no longer serve the worker begins to serve the tools. This is the great sadness. If we don't awaken our own soul, then what we're really doing, we're the worker serving the tool being the body, creation. We're not serving our own divinity, we're serving this piece of clay. This is what we're trying to help the students to awaken to. This thing came from down there, and down there is going back home to. But the soul comes from the great allness.
Yes, earlier I had, when we were talking earlier, I thought perhaps that it was in this talk of creation and all this junk that we get, that then I wondered what the purpose was to be here if we couldn't get some of this junk and then learn how to handle it.
We do learn how to handle it when we awaken. We learn to use the tool wisely. What good is a hammer to a 1-year-old who's never been trained how to use it? First thing it'd probably do is hit itself on the head. It becomes destructive. So, in all our getting, as is often said, let us get understanding. Understanding in all things, in all ways. But you see, we can't give what we haven't gotten. So we first must get understanding for ourselves, free our soul, and then we can give it. But let's get it first, because if we don't, we're in very, very deep water. Wouldn't you agree? Yes. Now, is there any other questions? Yes, group 6, please.
In relation to the question that the lady in group 7 asked, I think you stated that a soul will never be on the same level twice or in the same place twice. I'm not sure if I misunderstood this or not. Is that to mean that the soul, if it is on level 9 and then it rises to level 11, will never fall back to level 9?
No. I said, I believe you, if I checked the tape, I said exactly the opposite. I believe I stated to the lady in group 7 that a soul, having once arisen, for example, to level 18, may re-experience level 18 at any given moment, in any given era. Anytime. Once the soul has experienced, that is indelibly recorded. Nothing can or does remove it. Therefore, we may recapture it at any given moment. You see, when a man starts to recapture the many levels of awareness, that's when he knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that he has forever been, and having forever been, he will forever be. There's no concern about birth and death and all that creation, because we are forever. We don't have to believe it. It's truth, and it's demonstrable to every soul.
Are these 81 levels of awareness, the 9 times 9 spheres that we will go through?
9 spheres and 9 planes to each sphere.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Please, in group 2.
You have a suppressed desire, which if you put it into action will have a negative effect. Is there any way to get rid of that desire without putting it into action?
Absolutely. Now remember that all suppressed desires won't have negative effects by being put into action. After all, people have desires that are quite good, I would think. I have some myself, being human, And however, there is a way to release the energy, the pent-up energy known as desire. There is a way. Is that what you want?
Like you described.
When man declares the truth manifests for him and he is freed. Now, it is in the book, and the teaching is quite clear. Gratitude opens the door to supply. How does man express gratitude for that he does not yet see, for that he does not yet hear, for that he does not yet know? I ask you the question. Through what principle does he express that gratitude?
Through faith.
Through faith. And that's the power that transfigures us. So you want to release the energy? You know the way now, don't you? Duty, gratitude, and tolerance, faith, poise, and you'll be a humble, free spirit. I see our time is up. Thank you very much, class. Let us go have refreshments.